Hi everyone, Jay Sean Durham here from Mobility Innovation Television, or as we like to call it, MITV, where we explore the intersection of transportation and technology. Now today's episode takes us from right here in Washington, D.C. to Canada and then all the way to Beijing. Our first stop will be Montreal, where the Intelligent Transportation Systems World Congress recently took place. Next up, we'll explore why a planned rule that would set standards for vehicle-to-vehicle communications has been put on the back burner by the U.S. Department of Transportation. Then we'll take a look at the White House's recent moves to jumpstart drone integration by expanding tests. Finally, ATI21 President and CEO Paul Brubaker will report on his recent trip to Beijing, where he spoke at a major autonomous vehicle conference. All of this is just ahead on this episode of MITV. Delegates from around the world convened in Montreal at the beginning of November to discuss developments in intelligent transportation systems. Now, traditionally, this event focuses on roads and the more established ideas of how people and goods move, but that this year's event suggested a shift in progress. A Smart Cities Pavilion features small and large firms at the forefront of innovation. Navia was there, displaying its Arma self-driving shuttle, and other tech-focused companies that were there included Microsoft, Siemens, Qualcomm, and Ford. Among the key topics discussed at the pavilion was how 5G next-generation wireless telecommunications will reduce latency and improve both reliability and range to enable vehicle-to-everything communications. Now, a common sentiment among the event speakers is that the ITS industry is lagging behind when it comes to embracing connectivity, and apparently many tech pioneers agree. And among the companies that had no presence in Montreal were IBM, Amazon, Waze, Waymo, Apple, Uber, and Lyft. Turning to policy news, the Trump administration has removed the notice of its proposed rulemaking on vehicle-to-vehicle communications from the list of regulations anticipating action. Now, while the rule isn't dead, it has been put on the back burner. Some within the Transportation Department have been pushing automakers to deploy the so-called Dedicated Short-Range Communication, or DSRC radios, on new vehicles. But mounting evidence suggests there are effective ways to achieve crash avoidance than DSRC. Now, some of these include anti-collision sensors and the newest cellular communication capabilities. The administration has been clear about not wanting to mandate specific technologies in an era where capabilities are advancing rapidly. DSRC was first proposed more than 2 decades ago, and those who laud the administration's decision point out that a combination of sensor technologies, cellular and even satellite communication is a better approach to achieve the department's safety and efficiency goals. The White House has ordered the Transportation Department to fast-track a pilot program that will see local municipalities test broader applications of drones. Now, the new programs will focus on low-altitude applications, most of them below 200 feet. Examples include inspecting power lines and other infrastructure. Involving state and local governments and private sector stakeholders will ensure that drones are both integrated and regulated in beneficial ways. Now, the White House order calls for the Transportation Department to set up the new pilot programs by February 2018. China is investing in innovation, especially in the underlying technologies that enable self-driving and energy efficiency. Earlier this month, stakeholders from around the globe gathered in Beijing at the Autonomous Vehicles Asia Conference, and delegates discussed the latest technologies that are transforming mobility and how they will affect the climate. China is particularly sensitive to the impacts of climate change. The country is taking aggressive steps to introduce more electric drivetrains, which means more charging capacity and more infrastructure for clean energy production. ATI21 CEO Paul Brubaker was among the speakers at this year's event. Paul took time out after the trip to recap the event's highlights. Take it away, Paul.
Thanks, Sean. Make no mistake, China is innovating. Their commitment to clean energy is crystal clear. What's not so clear is a commitment to increased autonomy, as China's regulators still have not cleared the way to legally test autonomous vehicles on public roads. And there's little indication that this is going to happen anytime soon. What I thought was impressive was that many of the innovators presenting at the conference, including a number of those based in China, were calling on their government to allow testing on public roads as soon as possible. There were also a number of concerns voiced regarding the conditions of the infrastructure and some of the conditions of vehicles, actually, that currently operate on public roads in China that may not be conducive or operate very well with autonomous vehicles. These issues need to be addressed before widespread deployment. It was also not lost on the Chinese that Taiwan, Japan, even the US and Europe are beginning to open up testing, with Taiwan being the most aggressive in making immediate preparations for deploying level 4 autonomous shuttles in 4 different cities for commercial use on public roads. It was a great conference, and I'm delighted to be back. Sean, back to you.
Thanks, Paul. That'll do it for today's episode of MITV. For MITV, I'm Jay Sean Durham. See you next time.